Hi, welcome to another episode of Webcam Sessions. A few weeks ago we talked about some fingerpicking concepts with the three-finger roll, and today we're actually going to work on kind of a continuation of that. Now if you haven't seen that video before, I suggest checking it out, but you don't need to have seen it to watch this video. I'm going to go into less detail about the mechanics of what we're going to talk about and more into kind of this cool pattern, and we're going to learn a little song here today too. But if you haven't checked out that video, please do check it out. It'll talk more about the tone of three-finger style picking. It'll be very helpful for today. So that video is right here. Please check it out if you haven't already. So we talked about the three-finger roll a couple weeks ago. Today we're going to be talking about the three-finger tremolo. And it's kind of fun because it's the exact same thing, only completely different. And what that means is we're going to be using the same set of fingers, and we're going to be plucking the same order of these fingers, which is going to be that thumb, middle, index, but we're going to be doing it over a different combination of strings. And then in the second half today, we're going to actually learn a little Malagueña for that kind of flamenco style to practice this technique with. So let's talk about the technique first. Now, what's cool about this technique is it sounds really good with high G and sounds really good with low G and sounds very different on both. So as we're learning this, if you have a low G ukulele, you're going to have a lot of fun. If you have a high G, you hopefully will also have a lot of fun. I've got a high G here, but the song that we're going to be learning, I think, actually sounds better with a low G. So be sure to try it on both if you have the availability to do that. Again, works on both though. So let's talk about the technique. So the three-finger roll that we worked on, essentially, all that the three-finger roll was we had our middle finger here on the A string, index finger here on the E, and our thumb here on the C with our playing hand. Remember that we have got that perpendicular angle with these two fingers, about a 45 degree with the thumb. All the things that we talked about in the three-finger roll video, right? So the same concept there. But now to get the tremolo effect, what we're going to do is we're going to take our index finger and we're going to move it to the A string along with our middle finger. So now we have two fingers on one string with our thumb here on the C string. So it's very important as we're practicing this to keep the same shape. We don't want to get lazy and have our fingers kind of turn out this way or come way too far back. We want perpendicular angles with these two fingers, 45 or so with the thumb. And you'll notice I'm kind of within the sound hole right now. I'm not up here on the fretboard. I'm not way down here below the sound hole. Right above the sound holes where I like to do it the best. So now what we want to practice is we're going to try playing our C string open with our thumb, and then we're going to use our middle finger to pluck the A string, and then we're going to use our index finger to pluck the A string. So thumb, middle, index. Let's try that a few times. So thumb, middle, index, thumb, middle, index, thumb, middle, index. C, A, C, A, C, A, C, A. Now the trick here is the thumb's responsibility is actually not just the C string and not just the C and G like the three-finger roll. It's going to be the C, the E, and the G. It's going to be all three of the top strings while the index and middle fingers are just cycling on that A string. So we're going to try doing this with a little bit of an ascending pattern, and it sounds pretty cool. What we're going to do here is C, A, and then E with the thumb, E, A, and then G with the thumb, G, A. Now if you're doing a low G uke, you'll notice that the sound gets lower with that G, and that's totally fine. It's just the sound that we're going for right now. So C, A, E, A, G, A. C, A, E, A, G, A. And what's cool about this is we can actually make sure that we're just moving between the strings, but we don't necessarily need to do a pattern. So I could do something like C, A, C, A, G, A, G, A. Didn't even do the E, and that's totally fine. This technique works a little bit better for when you're playing a combination of things. And so that's the three-finger tremolo. Now the trick is when you speed this up, it creates what we call a tremolo effect on our A string. And a tremolo effect is essentially one note being played very, very quickly. You'll notice guitar players will use a pick to do that tremolo. Us ukulele players with a little bit longer of a thumbnail can do that using that sort of style. But with this, it creates it just on the A string. And if I were to play a chord like a C major chord with just my ring finger here on the 3rd fret of the A, and I were to do the first pattern that we worked on right here with just that A string here, it would sound something like this. So I'm just doing it much more quickly, and you notice it gets that really cool, kind of like an Ave Maria type of effect on that A string, right? So sometimes this technique is used as something to play melody notes on the A string because it kind of brings out the A string and you can play your melody on the A while the thumb is picking through some chords and stuff on the G, C, and E. But we're going to learn an example song right now where it actually does the opposite. It creates a drone-like effect, so something that's just there in the background kind of gluing everything together. And the melody is going to be played with the thumb in this case. Now we got to learn how to play Malagueña on the ukulele. Just a little bit of backstory about how I learned this. My mom actually plays guitar. She teaches children's music and everything else, which is very cool. And she mostly strums with guitar. And so when I was really young, I decided I want to play guitar, right? And I found that, well, 4 fingers, 6 strings, it didn't work well for me, right? I just could not do it. Ukulele, 4 strings, 4 fingers, just makes sense. But anyways, I learned one thing on the guitar, and that was this Malagueña thing. And what's cool is it works on a ukulele because the 4 high strings on a guitar are the same as the 4 high string or the 4 strings on a ukulele, only capoed at the 5th fret, octave higher on the G or D string on the guitar. Regardless, this worked between the 2 things. So I actually learned how to play this for my mom, and then I added the tremolo effect and really loved the sound. So let's go ahead and learn Malagueña. So to start, we're going to ignore everything we just talked about with our 3-finger roll, or 3-finger tremolo in this case. And we're going to play with just our thumb on our playing hand and focus on just getting this melody comfortable. The first thing we're going to do is play an A chord with our fretting hand. So that's our middle finger on the 2nd fret of the G string and index finger on the 1st fret of the C string. Now we're going to play our G, then C, then E. So that's just top to bottom, G string, C string, E string, right? And we're going to do this twice. So it goes something like this. Pretty simple start, right? So 2 on the G, 1 on the C, 0 on the E, 2 on the G, 1 on the C, 0 on the E. Now, that's the first half of the song. It's the easier half. The second half, what we're going to do is go to what's called a B flat major 7 chord. And the way that this is going to work is you're going to take these 2 fingers, your middle and index finger, and you're going to move them both down 1 string so that your middle finger is now on the 2nd fret of the C string and your index finger is now on the 1st fret of the E string. You're then going to reach the ring finger up to the 3rd fret of the G and make sure that the angle is pretty steep with these. The more relaxed you come back, the more you can get buzzing. So a nice steep angle getting your fingertips right up against the strings can really help. And this B flat major 7 is essentially 3 with the ring, 2 with the middle, 1 with the index. Now the second half to the melody here is a little bit more tricky because it's not just G, C, E, G, C, E. What we're going to do is play the C string first, play the E string next. Now we're going to remove our index finger with our fretting hand and play the open E string. So far we have 2 on the C, 1 on the E, remove the index finger, 0 on the E. Then we're going to play 2 on the C. Now notice how I'm leaving that pointer finger away because I don't need to re-add it. After I play 2 on the C, I'm going to then remove my middle finger, take it away, play 0 on the C. So what we have to go back to the start there, putting the fingers back on, we have 2 on the C we play, 1 on the E we play, 0 on the E we play, 2 on the C we play, 0 on the C we play, and then the very last note will be the 3 on the G. And then it restarts. So that whole second half sounds something like this. And one more time there, it's 2C, 1E, 0E, 2C, 0C, 3G. So you notice that I just take the fingers away. And it goes back to the first part. So I'm going to reapply those 2 fingers, and I'm going to play 2 on the G, 1 on the C, 0 on the E. Again, 2 on the G, 1 on the C, 0 on the E. Go to the next chord, flipping those fingers down a string, kicking the ring finger up, 3, 2, 1, 0, 2 on the C, 1 on the E, 0 on the E, 2 on the C, 0 on the C, 3 on the G, and then back to the top. And whenever you want to end it, just play an A chord, what we played at the start. All right? And that's the feeling of Malagueña. Now you're probably wondering, what does that have to do with the 3-finger tremolo technique? Well, you notice we never played the A string and we only used our thumb on the G, C, and E. So all that you do is take that melody that we just learned, which I recommend getting comfortable with before trying to add the tremolo. You take that melody that we just did, and then you add the 0 on the A with your middle and then index finger for a tremolo effect after every single note the thumb plays. So if I were to restart it here, it would sound something like this. We'd have 2 on the G, the dog, not a tambourine, I promise. And now we're going to play 2 on the G, followed by a 0 on the A twice with the middle and then index. And then we're going to play 1 on the C, and then middle and index. 0 on the E, and it starts to repeat this. And then we switch to our next chord, and we're going to play 2 on the C. Instead of just moving right to the 1 on the E, we're going to use the 0 on the A twice, because after every note the thumb plays, we add these 2 fingers. And here's what it sounds like. Right? Pretty cool sound. My dog is having a sneeze attack in the background, so I apologize if you could hear that. But that's what it sounds like at full speed. Really cool sound. And it seems really complicated and overwhelming. But again, all that it is we do that first part of that melody. And after every note the thumb plays, we're just going to use our middle, then index on the A. So if I were to play this where I kind of go in and out between the two, it looks something like this. We've got so you can hear that they really do work well together, and it sounds just awesome. So that's the 3-finger tremolo. There's a little example that you can play. Again, I recommend getting really comfortable with it just as the exercise of picking the individual notes with the thumb, as well as just getting comfortable with the 3-finger tremolo before putting it together. You'll notice it feels a little bit like this at first, but that's half the fun once you get it comfortable. And yeah, be sure to check out the 3-finger roll video again if you haven't already for some more concepts with how to get good tone and how to move your fingers accordingly with this. So be sure to check out next week. We'll have another webcam sessions up for you guys. It's been a lot of fun making these. If you have some ideas for what you'd like to see in these webcam sessions, be sure to drop a comment below. I'm reading every comment that I see, and so I've seen some people suggest some different songs and other things which I'm excited about. And so be sure to comment below if you got any ideas. And I'll see you next week, hopefully with a dog that's sneezing a little less. And again, let me know if you have any questions in the comments below. Have a wonderful week.